Well, Rachel, you keyed on a point, and then Brian kind of touched it where he said you'll have to travel if you want to do something different. So if I'm in, say, I'm in Texas, I'm in this hybrid state, right? And they do 25% interest out here on a hybrid deed. And there's, I think, the redemption period is 120 days or something like that, right? So essentially, I'm going into a deed. I'm going into a deed ward. When I go to that auction, regardless of the fact that it's a redeemable deed in that 120-day period, and it's something like that, and don't quote me on it because I don't remember the date. I focus more on Georgia.
6 months.
Yeah.
6 months, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
non-homesteaded properties anyway.
Yeah.
When you go into those deeds, you may go in thinking, okay, this is a lien. Someone's going to redeem this. They're going to redeem this in the next 6 months. But the reality is, the high probability is this is going to turn into a deed deal, and you're going to end up investing upwards of what you would expect. You're not going to win. I've tried. You go in Texas and you try to win a deal with $4,000 or $5,000, and it's like you don't get two. I don't even know two outcries in the auction, and you're past that number. So it's like, okay, the value starts at $3,500. We're going to go right for $3,500. Like, okay, $4,000. It's like, okay, $7,000. It's like, what happened to 5 and 6? How did you get from 45 to 7 so fast? And they're like, well, 20,000. You're like, how are you moving so? And I've seen people go through that, and I've gone through that when I first started, and so that's when I started going to Georgia, and it was that lesson in learning. Hybrids are not liens. They're deeds with redeemable periods, and they're completely different. They're not bidding at them as they would be bidding at a lien. They're bidding at it more so as if they're bidding at a deed. In that experience, my experience. You want to comment on that, Brian?
But in Georgia and Texas, I think you're exactly right. It's more treated as a deed. There are states that are technically redeemable deeds, or at least we categorize them as such. You know, South Carolina, where it's really more like a lien. And what we found is the defining factor between people treating it as a lien versus a deed is what it really comes down to the probability of redemption. What is the probability of somebody actually redeeming it during that short period of time? And in Georgia and Texas, that probability is so low because whoever comes in to redeem, not only has to come up with the taxes that they may have owed, but they got to come up with the full amount. At least this is how Georgia works. I got to look at Texas, but I believe it's the same way. They got to come up with the full amount that was bid at auction plus interest, right?
Absolutely.
So if somebody couldn't redeem, or pay, $3,000 in taxes, if somebody bids it up to 20 grand, what are the chances of them being able to redeem it? It's just, it unfortunately greatly reduces the amount or the chance of somebody redeeming. Now, on the opposite end of the perspective, you have South Carolina where, there is premium bid at an auction, but to redeem it, the county holds that premium. And to redeem, you only have to bring the amount of the original lien in to redeem. And so the county holds that money and again gives that back to the investor. And so the chances of redemption are a lot higher in South Carolina compared to Georgia or Texas. And so because of that, it's much more looked at as like a lien situation as opposed to a deed situation. So it all comes down to, step number one is I'd say step number two is defining what you're looking for and then researching the statutes to figure out exactly what governs those sales, and that'll help you determine what the chances are you're going to end up with what you're looking for.
Wow.